Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is straight out of Boston, or aka the King of Boston, and today we're back with Around the League, episode 11, with the Indiana Pacers. Now, once again, playing friend Burns, pretty much. I don't know how often it's going to happen, but, whenever I get the chance, I play him. I use these gameplays because they're much more interesting than playing online gameplays. So, I'm using the Pacers, he's using the Hawks, and let's just get straight into this. So, anyway, looking at the Indiana Pacers, they're a very interesting team, to say the least. They're a team that a lot of people thought that could be up there in the top 3 or 4 seeds, along with teams like the Celtics and the Heat and maybe the Knicks. This is kind of preseason talk, obviously. Things have changed. But, they haven't been that team, mainly because Danny Granger's been hurt. But I really like this team. I love Frank Vogel as a coach. He's done an incredible job turning that team around. He took over, I believe, last season was his first season, and he did a great job. And I think this team has a lot of good pieces. I'm a big fan of Danny Granger. I don't know if he's ever going to be that superstar that a lot of people want him to become, but he's a great player. He's probably on the same level as like an Andre Iguodala. He's not really a superstar, although some people consider Iguodala a superstar. I don't personally, but it's kind of like that tier below, right below being a superstar. And who knows if he'll ever make the next step. He's not that young, so I think he's actually going to turn 30 in about 3 months now. So not that young, but this is 7th year in the league. So I don't know if he's really peaked or whatever. But another guy I really like on this roster is Paul George. He's a 6'8" shooting guard, 2nd year out of Fresno State. I think I think he's great. Is this his second year? I think this is his 3rd year, actually. I apologize. He was drafted in 2010. So this is his 3rd year in the league. I'm in love with Paul George. He's listed at 6'8", but a lot of people think he's a little bit taller, maybe 6'9" or 6'10". The height that they get listed at is the ones that, like online or whatever, is the same ones that they get listed at when they're drafted. Like Charles Barkley was listed at like 6'6", but it's a lot of people consider him to be 6'4". Kevin Durant's like 2 inches taller than he was when he was drafted. So I think Paul George close to 6'9" or 6'10", which for a shooting guard is amazing. And with that size, he can play small forward, which is great because it's allowed. He's basically been playing small forward while Danny Granger's been hurt. But Paul George is great. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's very athletic. This guy is an immense amount of potential. He's 6'8", so he's got great size for the wing. He's a decent defender. He's athletic and he's got size, so I think he can develop into a very good defender. I'm in love with Paul George, man. I love this guy. Roy Hibbert is another big piece for this team. He's in his 5th year now. Right after he's kind of off of his rookie contract now when he was signed to a max deal in the offseason, which right now for a guy who's averaging, as of the game before the Celtics won, because I saw stats during that game, for a guy who was averaging 9.8 points and 8 rebounds, and I'm going to assume like 2 blocks, which is good, but that's not a max contract player to me. Now, I get that he's 7'2", and I get that he's got a lot of room to grow, he's got a lot of potential, but it's his 5th year, and he's going to grow, but I don't know if he's ever going to be a max contract type of player. So, that 4 years, $58 million deal is making him look like one of the more overpaid players in the NBA right now. So, I don't know. I mean, they're stuck with him, to be honest. They just got to hope that, he pans out to what everyone thinks he's going to be and that contract pays off. Now, let's get into some of the rest of the roster. Those are the 3 main pieces I want to talk about. The rest of the roster, some good players. Tyler Hansborough's 4th year guy in North Carolina. He is what he is. He's a great role player. He's a great hustle player. He's undersized for the power forward position at 6'9", but he's 250. He was amazing at North Carolina. He's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. I hated him because I'm a Duke fan, but I got to admit it, he was great. And he was drafted pretty high, 13th overall pick. That looks like it's not going to work out. As for where he was picked, you would hope that a guy you draft in the lottery is going to at some point become a starter for you. But I don't think that's really ever going to happen. But he's a good role player. He's a great hustle player. And, he's a good rebounder. He's a good role player. That's all I can say about him. George Hill is turned into a very nice point guard. 5th year out of IUPUI. He was originally with San Antonio before he was traded for Kawhi Leonard in the 2011 NBA draft. That deal looks like it's working out pretty well for the Spurs because Leonard's been really good. But it was a deal in the case when the Spurs didn't need a point guard. And the Pacers wanted another point guard because they knew they weren't going to. They knew Darren Collison wasn't really the future for them, to say the least, or whatever. I don't know how to put that, but yeah. So George Hill's good starting point guard for them. I like him. He's never going to be a superstar. Probably will never be an all-star, but he's a good player, and I like him for that. Maybe I don't know if they would rather see a little bit more of a pass-first guard. He's a good scorer. He's not the best passer. But I'm a fan of George Hill. And his backup, DJ Augustine, is a guy who is a fifth year out of Texas. He backed up Kemba Walker last year. Now he is backing up George Hill. And I think, this guy's going to turn himself into a good role player. He just needs to kind of accept that role. I believe he's starting right now because I think George Hill's currently hurt. I'm not too sure about that. But, if he can accept his role as a role player, he'll be a very solid backup point guard for this team. Gerald Green is a guy who seems to have found himself. He's another guy with great size, 6'8" for a shooting guard or small forward. He played in Russia for a while, played in Europe, and it seems that he's kind of found his home back in the NBA now. That's good to see. Ben Hansbrough is another point guard that I'm kind of like. He's a rookie out of Notre Dame. I kind of like him. Orlando Johnson's not bad. Ian Mahimney, I don't really know how to pronounce that, but he's turned himself into a good role player. Miles Plumlee, interesting rookie. We'll see what comes out of him. Dominique McGuire is a good defender. Jeff Pendergraft, I've never really seen play, to be quite honest. Lance Stevenson's actually looked really good at Cincinnati. He's having a good year this year. Mainly starting at shooting guard, while Paul George has been starting at small forward for the injured Danny Granger. But I think this is a team with a healthy Danny Granger. They're a very good team. I don't know if they're a title contending team, but they're getting close, and I think that this team has a bright future ahead of them. So as for this year, I would say, a team that's probably going to make the playoffs. They're a great defending team, which is always the type of team that has a chance at winning in the NBA, at least in the postseason. So I would look out for them to, if they can get healthy, they can be a good team in the playoffs. They were close to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, so I really think that they can get to a similar place. But anyway, that's going to wrap this video, so I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As well as I'm out. Peace.